Well, this morning, we also are welcoming Neil Buzick, who is a veteran and also a new member here at Jupiter First Church. And we've asked Neil to share a word or two with us on this weekend. Neil.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Neil Buzick. I am a proud veteran of the United States Army. I was a 97 Bravo counterintelligence agent. And this past week, I've had the opportunity to talk at Independence Middle School in front of 1,400 people, and now in front of you today. So it's been a real privilege. Whenever I run a martial arts school here in Jupiter, and the way I determine who's going to give a best effort sometimes, or listen best in my school, is by asking the kids to say, yes, I can. So I want to ask you guys, everybody, on 1, 2, 3, say, yes, I can. 1, 2, 3, go! Yes, I can. Oh, right, that wasn't very loud, Pastor Kevin, so I'm going to see if the girls or the boys are going to be louder. Okay, ladies, 1, 2, 3, say yes, I can. 1, 2, 3, go! Boys are going to be louder. Thank you, men. Here we go. And men, 1, 2, 3, go! Yes, I can. Boys, you win. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a big round of applause. So a couple years ago, somebody from Jupiter First, I'm not even sure who, asked me to come out into the lobby and do a quick anti-bullying program. So I decided to come in, and it took me a couple months to prepare for what we're doing. When I walked in through the front doors, I see the happiest pastor I have ever seen in the entire world, Pastor Chip. And he welcomed me and said, hey, what's going on? And, we're glad you're here. And I just had a wonderful day. And when I went home, I just said a couple words to me. It just feels right. I was going to a different church at the time, and I am Lutheran through and through. And I thought, but man, it just feels right going there. Pastor Kevin gave some words about bullying to the kids afterwards as well. And I thought that's kind of neat. And I told my wife, I said, hon, let's try to go to Jupiter First and test it out. And we came in, and they were just amazing singers, amazing music. And when I went home, I told my wife again, it just feels right. So let's keep going back. And we went to a couple different events, and we went to the events, and again, it just feels right. I like having my coffee before church, so sometimes I sit outside for the first few minutes, and Bill would talk to me a little bit and make sure that I got not my decaffeinated, but my regular coffee, and I just thought, this just feels right, and I've enjoyed it. And one day, I said, you know what, there's this little thing I need to ask the church about, because I'm very, very passionate about inclusivity in the church. And I think I ambushed Pastor Chip by coming to the church one day into his office and said, I got to ask you about this. So I asked him about it, and he reassured me with this big smile again. And I left, and I just said, this just feels It just feels right about being here. And so we started to come, and for some reason, we went to, or not some reason, but we know we wanted to join. So we went to the membership, what do you call it, the membership? The membership class, but we just put everything to the side for some reason. So finally, just recently, I reached out to Pastor Kevin and Pastor Chip and says, we need to make this official, because after 2 years of coming here and hearing the singing and just sitting down and absorbing everything, it just feels right, and we decided to join as official members this week because it just feels right. All right, so thank you, everybody, and Pastor Kevin and Pastor Chip.
It feels like we don't need a sermon, that we can just pray and go home. Thank you, Lynn. We are blessed to have so many heroes in our past as a congregation. And here in a moment, I'm going to introduce you to one of the new heroes in our congregation. But in just a moment, I want to remind you that we will be giving of our tithes and offerings and be known cards. But just before that, I want to invite Ron Ponzoli up here to the platform to share with us for just a moment. So Ron, if you'd please come.
Jupiter first. It's my privilege to be here with you today to share with you what it means to me to be a member of our congregation. And the way I want to share that with you is to tell you how I came to our church, because my journey here is a good example of God's love and how God always follows us and always pursues us and never gives up on us. I was born in Miami. I'm a fifth-generation Floridian. I was raised an Episcopalian. I was an altar boy. I was part of the youth ministries. But when I left my home, I, like some of us, got away from my faith. God would talk to me, but I wouldn't always talk back to him. I didn't go to church very often. This year, my family and I, my wife and my children, traveled to Italy. And on the last day, we were in the Abbey in Monte Cassino. And if any of you all have ever been there, it's a beautiful place. And it's a great place to feel God's love and his power and grace. And I walked into the church in the Abbey. And as soon as I stepped into that church, I felt something profound, something I had not felt in a very long time. And I was truly thunderstruck. And I knew immediately I wanted to get down on my knees and pray and talk to our God. And I did, and I talked to him in a way I hadn't talked in a long time. And I started to cry. I was so overcome with emotion and so overcome with God's love. So naturally, when I came back to Florida, I knew I needed to find a home to share my new relationship, this awakened relationship with God. And my wife, who had been part of my family for a long time, encouraged me to come over and visit with our church. And I'd heard Pastor Kevin speak some time ago and really loved his words. And I came here to our church and I walked in. And as soon as I walked in, you all greeted me. Pastor Chip, you gave me a handshake and a big smile. And I knew immediately that this was my home. And I want you all to know that I'm so very appreciative for how much you all have welcomed me in. This is going to be my home forever. This is where I worship with you all. I love God, and I really am very lucky to have you all as my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and we are thankful to be a part of your family and that you're a part of ours.